Hi, I'm Seth Kearsley, and I was the producer and director for Mummies Alive. So Mummies Alive is 25. It's crazy to think that Mummies is now older than I was when I started making the show. I was 23. I had never worked as a director before, but I had gone to Cal Arts, and I had worked on the Max, and I had worked at The Simpsons, and I had worked at Disney TV. And I feel like that those three things kind of prepared me. I knew how to make a show, but I had no idea how difficult it was actually going to be. When I went to the interview, the guy that I was meeting with told me that in a year and a half, we were going to produce 42 half hours of TV. So each week, 2 episodes would need to hit every department. And then at a point, we would be doing 3 episodes a week. And he outlined the schedule for me, and if I were to hear someone tell me that schedule now, I would think they were crazy, and I would say, there's no way that can be done. But when you're 23 and you haven't directed before, and they say, so what do you think? Can you do it? You go, yeah, let's do it. And they totally called my bluff. I couldn't believe that I got the job. I just figured this was going to be a massive trial by fire. And if I completely failed and fell flat on my face, it was their fault for hiring me. But I didn't fail, and I didn't do it alone. We had a lot of amazing, talented people working on the show. And I was very lucky with the studios that we had. I was very lucky with the production support that we had. And you know, to be honest, like, Deke doesn't have the best reputation in terms of like budgets and schedules and things like that. But I have to say that for a 23-year-old to get this show, I had so much more creative freedom on Mummies than I did on many projects after. So I want to share some things with you guys that I've shared on social media before, but, you know, it's the 25th anniversary, so let's do it again. So this is the press kit that they sent out when they were first trying to get the show made. Super awesome design, super awesome color. I had nothing to do with this. They did this before I came on. But I was so stoked when I saw this. I was like, oh my God, if we could make the show look like that. So open it up. You got a little bit of hieroglyphs and then a little bit of information about the show. It was a co-production between Ivan Reitman and Deke. Also in there, I don't know if I've shown this before, but the Hollywood Reporter cover. I was so stoked about this. I was doing a show that was on the cover of the Hollywood Reporter. I just wish that we kept the mummies. I've never been a fan of the Mummies Alive part. But now everyone knows it as Mummies Alive, and so now I'm on board with it being called Mummies Alive. This was the test, not printing, because it's stitch work. I don't know if you can tell. But this was the proof for our crew jacket. So somewhere around here, I couldn't find it, but somewhere around here I have a crew jacket that has this on the back of it. Pretty cool. This was our crew t-shirt. Yoink. We had a bunch of these made, and we sent them also to the crew in Korea and Japan. And just looks super awesome on the back of that t-shirt. Randomly, I don't know why I have this, but this is balloons that I don't think have mummies on them, but the packaging is mummies, so I guess it counts as merch. Of course, I've got the toys that haven't been opened. I didn't take them out of the box. I had a whole other set that did come out of the box that my daughters had played with like crazy. This did come out of the box, the Hot Raw. I much prefer this version of it to the version that's in the show because this is a one-seater like it should be. In the show, they wanted us to fit all of the mummies and Presley so that they can go to every adventure together. And it just made it like really big and bulky, especially for the streets of San Francisco. So this, much prefer this design. And the Skycophagus. So the two like really like had close to the same proportions and the same motif. Would have been really cool to have them just be like this in the show. One thing about the toy for the Skycophagus that I always like to point out is, like, if you look at Anakin Skywalker's ship, kind of similar. The bike, I forget what we called this one, but loved this functionality. This bike has gotten a lot of play use from my girls, and I'm really lucky that I found this tip because they've fired it off many times. And so something about the design of this bike that I really wanted to go back to, something that I thought was cool from my childhood. This is my original G.I. Joe motorcycle from the G.I. Joe days. I need a light closer to camera, apparently. Anyway, this is my original G.I. Joe motorcycle, and so I really wanted these two to kind of share. Like, this is definitely a more modern version, but I wanted at least in the front cowl for them to share a little bit of DNA. I still have this. It has my name on it. Studios don't do this anymore, like personalize the studio swag. So another like Deke thing that they did that doesn't happen anymore. Apparently my first feature before 8 Crazy Nights, the first 4 episodes of Mummies. That was the trial by fire. This is way before computer stuff. Even though we had some CG in our main title, which the main title that I wanted to do was kind of like a nod to the original Batman, the Tim Burton movie Batman, where the camera just sort of like flew along the logo and then came out. So we had a studio that was doing our logo, and we'd plotted that whole thing out, and it got nixed. So this is what happens when you're 23 and you're making a show. Sometimes you've got these crazy, awesome ideas, and you're like, oh my god, it's going to be like this, and then at a point, the grown-ups are like, no, it's going to be like this. So the music was another area where 23-year-old producer-director doesn't get everything that he wants. I was not into it. I've gotten into it. I like it now. But there was a band that was actually playing on the radio and had just been featured on the soundtrack to the movie Seven, who did a demo for the show. It was Gravity Kills, and I don't have the exact song, but it was something like this. So this is what the main title could have been like. That's who I wanted. So with today as the 25th anniversary, it's also probably pretty close to the 25th anniversary of me communicating directly with the fans. The internet was very new still, and websites were like, oh my god, there's people out there that watch the show and they put up a website. So I reached out to like the first 10 people that put up websites until I got busy on to the next project. It's always been fun for me to directly connect with the fans. This is the first time I'm doing something actually on camera. So this is call it my face reveal. I'm a lot older than I was when I started the show. 25 years older. Well, I started a little bit before the show was actually aired. So 26 or 27 years older. So for everyone who still loves the show, for everyone who grew up watching it, thank you so much. 25 years went by way too fast. And it would be awesome to do a reboot. I'd love to do like a CG version that uses like toon render so that it kind of has the same look, but we can get a little bit more action going with the camera. Yeah, it's kind of out of my hands, and the ownership has changed so many times through the years. I don't even know if Wildbrain owns it. So Wildbrain, yeah, let's do something. I don't know how the rights work with all of the other partners, because there was the syndicator and the toy company and Ivan Reitman's company, so it might be a bit of a tangled web. Yeah, I would totally love this. Is my first show, so it has such a near and dear place in my heart, and so yeah, I can't thank you guys enough. 25 years. I can't believe it. I hope it keeps going, and I'll make another one of these in another 25 years. Hopefully, I'm around in 25 years. All right. Thank you. I love you. Bye.